Oh hey, this is Red Nitro Flurry Gaming, and this is a video on the Turn 10 Summer Pack. And don't forget, I have got over 100 subscribers and nearly 30,000 views. In fact, 3,000 off. But never mind, it's time to have a celebration, everybody. And main sponsor, JJB Lads, and he is a really good YouTuber and a very close friend of mine. And let's get on with the video. Starting with the Cadillac CTSV sedan, and this one is way better than the previous generation. The previous generation, I don't like it at all. It's more cringe for me. But this one, it really changed my perception about General Motors in Detroit, in fact, for muscle cars. Because originally I thought muscle cars had its heyday, but now I think it's booming back in resurgence. And originally I was quite skeptical for this car, and I was thinking, is it going to be as bad as this, the previous version of the car and the coupe sedan? Yep. But then when it was released into the game, cool, I really like it. And the reason why is I really like the sound of the V8. It really has a sense of Detroit compared to the previous generation. I couldn't really sense that Detroit, and in fact the engine is a 7-litre V8 from the Corvette Z06, and the chassis is an all-new one compared to the previous generation. That wasn't very good as it is now, but this car, 10 out of 10, I'm 9-star. And let's go on to the Fiat. This is the Fiat 695. And I said that in the Cadillac trailer, but this car, for me, is quite an odd one in quite a good way, and it's the elephant in the room. But this car really makes up for it, obviously, because you already know what car it is. It's the Fiat 500 to everyone, but to the car nerds, it is the 695 Bitispo. And it's basically a Fiat 500 being made to race, with all sorts of lightweight parts. And the windows, they look like they're made out of plastic, but it is designed to be kind of different from the norm. And this car for me is not the best handling in this pack. It's quite heavy for some of you. But some people like heavy handling, but not me personally. And if you're expecting it to turn around at 100 miles an hour, or its top speed, you're more likely to roll it than get a successful turn in. So I recommend it for jelly builds and drift builds, because this is the fun car of this pack. And it really makes you have a little bit of a joke around. And I really like the car, in fact. Because when I usually read stuff about this car, it's quite cool. When I was reading some more car stuff, I was thinking, cool, I really like this. This should be in Forza 6. And it's not really dead weight compared to some of the fewer cars. If you go in few in the video, if you go really late, it kind of goes a bit. So I give this a 10 out of 10, by 9-star. And that's a really good respect of this car, and it does expect. This is the Ferrari 158 F1, and this car, boom, it's amazing. And it's almost as good as the Cadillac, but the Cadillac's one of the most popular cars in this pack. But this one for me makes me have tears because it's that good. And when I was handling it, with having no traction and all sorts of stuff, it really felt awesome and exhilarating, and it felt like I was racing with Fangio and all the other F1 drivers. And it's a shame why they don't have more Formula 1 F1 cars, like the classics, and modern, in fact. And I reckon in Forza 7 you'll be having the Renault F1 car, whatever it looks like, in about 2017. And this car, it's awesome because it handles like the best F1 car I've ever driven, and it makes me have goosebumps, to be honest, and I really like it, and for that reason it has a Rhine 9 star, and that must mean it's really good. This is the 1964 Wetson #1 Shooten Thompson Roadster, and I didn't say one of the names wrong, but never mind. And this car is one of the legendary cars driven by a legendary driver, A.G. Foyt, and he is in his 80s now, but in his best days, 30 years old, he was a legendary one, and he won 10 out of 13 races, and that's amazing. And it's something to rival Ayrton Senna, even though it's another genre of motorsport. And Indy 500 wasn't as popular as it was in the 60s, and it's had a huge population of drivers wanting to race now, and there's tons of crowds, like millions wanting to watch these drivers out racing in the stadium, and it's quite expensive getting tickets and stuff. So this car, for me, it handles good, it feels very classic, and it makes me feel like a legendary driver like A.G. Foyt, and I feel very proud of that driver for winning that much races, and I feel proud of Lewis Hamilton as well, because he wins lots of races. But they did not win one of them this year, and it was the amazing Max Verstappen. And he is such a talented driver for his age, and he really shows that whoever you are and whatever your age, you can be good at this. And that's what I think. And that's my inspiration talk. And this car is a 9 out of 10, but not completely 10 out of 10, because there's a few minor problems with it. Like, it kind of get too sliding, and it doesn't really look like I want to drive it all the time. I'd probably drive it once or twice, not all the time, compared to the Cadillac and the Ferrari F1 car. This is a BMW 323 Ti Sport, and this is a coupe of the 3 Series. It just sounds depressing, the compact 3 Series, and it just makes me feel, why can't they just do the BMW M2 or the BMW M4 GTS, because that's a way cooler car than this. But I'd like something more fast and more exotic. But this car, I'll give you some reasoning why I don't like it. Number one, it's kind of depressing for the car list. The car list kind of spirals a bit worse than this, but not by much. And the car just looks a bit depressing. It feels depressing, and it hasn't even gave me any goosebumps. It made me feel exhilarated. It just is too normal. And they probably haven't been really bold with it, turn 10, so I'd give it a 7 star. Or that means 7 out of 10. This is a Nissan RC91P. And this car, are you joking me? We've got a rubbish LMP car that can't even compete against an Audi R18, or it would fail. And I've got lots of spite for this car, because I really do not like it. And it's been about 3 years, and I'm so surprised it has, because if I'm looking at it, it looks like one of the least aerodynamic things compared to what it was going against. But it was going against cardboard boxes that blew up on fire. It was sorry, Joe. This is a Nissan RC91P, and it is a Group C prototype endurance car. And the type of race car it is, I'm not really familiar with it, and I think they could have chose a different one, but it looks like it has got quite a lot of points, and I've got quite a bit of spite and hatred towards the car. But here's a few things I kind of like. It's really cool, it's really fast, and it goes quite fast around corners that I would expect from this car, or else it would kind of be a bit of a sham. But otherwise, it does not give me any goosebumps or anything. The car just doesn't have any soul. The engine just feels forced, and the engine does not have any proper sounds or anything. It just doesn't feel natural. But it has won about 3 years of its construction titles, and it won the final year of it, and it did it 3 times in fact. So it must have quite a huge achievement, obviously, against all the other manufacturers. And I'd kind of give this a 5 out of 10. But it's not as bad as the Datsun and a few other cars coming up next. This is the Datsun 280ZX Bob Sharps Racing, driven by Paul Newman, and he is an actor and racing driver. But in 1978 he really wanted to be a racing driver, so he randomly asked this racing team if he can race this car. And this car, for me, is annoying, but it is a historical car for some people. And it used to drive around Lime Rock, Atlanta, and the list goes on and on and on. And please tell me what you think of the car is. But if I had to admit, the car's handling is too heavy, because the downforce really pulls you down too much. I can't really access the power. The handling's too heavy, and the car is kind of a dead weight for Forza 6. I really wanted something like the Morgan EV3 that's quite new and fresh, but at least we've got something better than having some sort of cozy coupe. But that would be quite funny, where you'll have to be pedaling around the Nürburgring, taking you about 24 hours, literally. You probably won't get much points off it anyway. So, please tell me what you think of it. I think it's more of a 3 out of 10, because the story's very interesting, because he was a very relentless driver. He always wanted to be the best of the best. He wasn't the best, but he tried to be, and he successfully made this car successful. And what car would you want in the DLC pack? And what car would you replace? And what is your favourite car in the DLC pack? Please post it in the comments down below. Bye from Red Knight with Flurry Gaming. Don't be a stranger. Please like and subscribe. Bye!